it's an unlikely scenario that Hakeem Jeffries could become speaker. But like we said, with the latest vote, the fourth round, Hakeem Jeffries getting 212, McCarthy getting 202, 20 Republicans voting for Donald's, I guess, whoever it is, the candidate du jour, and one now Republican voting present. That brings the number of Republicans who need to leave the chamber or vote present to 5. And if 5 more Republicans do that, Hakeem Jeffries becomes the Speaker of the House. And maybe even before. I'm not sure. I'm going to double check that. But 4 or 5. And here's Chip Roy, Laura Ingraham, again, attacking these guys. And this is really amazing because I've never seen this, where there is this sort of like unified attack on these type of people. And it just gives you a sense of like how eviscerated, because they don't do this with the Republicans and they don't do this with the conservative base. But it is a mess. And 3 days ago, it may have been inconceivable that Hakeem Jeffries could be Speaker of the House, but it's getting closer.
Now is Texas Congressman Chip Roy, who voted against Kevin McCarthy all 3 times. I want to have both sides on this issue. Now, Congressman, it's great to see you. Now, some are saying, and I think Kevin McCarthy's folks are saying, that they already gave you guys a number of key concessions. Frankly, if I were he, I might not have given them if I were, trying to become Speaker. So what is your end game at this point, given the 3 votes, and yet you all don't have one candidate who can get to 218, at least not yet?
Well, thanks for having me on, Laura. Look, this is all about making sure that we change this institution, okay? Laura, you know this. Every single night on your show, you talk about how broken this place is. Does anybody think that $1.7 trillion bill that just passed is a good thing? Does anybody think that this institution is working? With all due respect to Kevin, he's been in leadership since 2009. Let me be clear. The debt was $11 trillion then. It's $32 trillion now. I can go through vote after vote after vote over the last decade. He was in the minority of Republicans not standing with Ted Cruz on Obamacare in 2013. He was on Good Lat 2 in 2018 with respect to the Immigration and Border Security Bill, which messed up the entire effort for us to secure the border 4 years ago.
Right, we've documented, Congressman, we've documented that, and everybody knows, like, I'm probably to the right of a lot of you guys on a lot of these issues, so no one's going to be conservative enough for me. However, you still have to get to 218. So again, I'm going to ask you, what is your end game here? Because it looks like we could be going to something, in my view, a lot worse than someone who passes an ideological purity test, understanding
so, Laura,
all your points here.
No, it's not an ideological purity test. This isn't about Kevin, right? This is about all of the assertions being made by Kevin's camp. When I hear assertions that says, oh, they gave you everything you wanted. Well, Laura, hold on a second. What, 72 hours to read a bill? That's already the rule, and it gets waived. Do you know how it gets waived? Because the Rules Committee is chock full of a bunch of establishment people who say, oh, whatever we need to do to jam through the big spending bill that Mitch McConnell just sent to us. Look, when the leadership actually votes with the minority, votes with the Democrats to steamroll Republicans, which is the past history of our Republican leadership, then maybe we should do something different.
Okay,
so when I say I want tools, I want tools to change that.
Okay, but my question to you again, you have to get point A to point.
And like there is something to that in terms of like, and this is what AOC had said was that there are people in Congress who want to reform the way that Congress works so that some power is spun off from leadership. And I think that's probably a good thing in some respects. In other respects, it's not good for the party in power, per se, if you want to like control your caucus and vote on an agenda. The irony is that These guys just want to block everything. They want to say no more than they want it. We're going to have a problem with the debt ceiling. That at the end of the day, this is what the big thing that's going to come out of this is we're going to have a real problem with the debt ceiling, and that's going to cost Democrats at some point. But that was almost baked into the cake when the Republicans won. But continue on here.
Tools to change that.
Okay, but my question to you again, you have to get from point A to point B. I understand frustration with the establishment. Long before you were on Capitol Hill, I've been fighting the establishment, so I get that.
She's the best.
But you still have to be able to get to point B. So my question is a very specific one. Would you rather have Hakeem Jeffries in
That's
a
not a real
position
choice.
of of authority
That's not a real choice.
in the House rather than have McCarthy as Speaker with the concessions that you did get a number of concessions? What would you rather have a coalition where you could be in the minority opposing the Democrats? Yes or no?
Laura, that's a false choice. Hakeem Jeffries can only be the Speaker of the House if a Republican votes for him. Right now, what we're having
Republicans might. Moderate Republicans might end up doing that.
I don't believe that.
If we're here 4 days later?
Look, I don't believe that, Laura. And look, at the end of the day right now.
Now, pause it for a second. That is also, my understanding is that's his statement that Hakeem Jeffries can only become Speaker if a Republican votes for him. I don't think that's true. The other way Hakeem Jeffries gets to be Speaker is if there are 5 more votes of present than there are now. There's 1 vote of present. And this is my math. I may be wrong on this, but 202 people voted for McCarthy. 212 voted for Hakeem Jeffries. That's 412. 20 voted for Donalds. That's 414 plus 20. That's 434. Half of 434 is 217. And well, I guess maybe you need 218, right? To have the majority of votes cast.
Because for a full house, like 435, 218, 217 would be like a 1 vote majority. But it's 434 because McEachin in Virginia died. So it's 434 the total right now of members.
But how is that possible if it was 202 plus 212 plus 20 and there was 1 vote present? So that's 435.
202 plus 212 plus 20.
We got to check those numbers. That's weird.
Oh, well, let me double check if she was sworn in.
I have a feeling she might have been sworn in. I think there's a full complement. 435, 218 would be the majority. 217 would be a tie. But if you had 5, the actual number is 429. What's half of 429 plus 1 is 416. I mean, it's 216. Maybe you only need 4 more. Oh no, you need 5. You need 5. You need 5 present. Wait, oh no, to get down to 212 to be the majority of the votes, you'd need 9.
To whittle down the amount you need of a vote for a specific nominee, you'd need that many present votes.
Yes.
Okay.
You'd need 9. Oh boy.
Oh, the little update. Lauren Boebert did nominate Byron Donalds again.
She did?
For the 5th round, and she looked at McCarthy and said, Trump needs to tell you that you don't have the votes to be Speaker.
Wow. So they're going in for vote number 5.
They're doing the 5th round now.
like that. What, Trump needs to tell you this. Daddy needs to come in.
It's like a Succession thing. It's like
playtime is over.
Kevin, I don't want to be the one to tell you this, but Trump needs to tell you this.
Yeah.
So we need 9 to vote present, I guess. It's a real mess. Here is Marjorie Taylor Greene. She is, the answer is 9. Yes. Socially pissed. You're right. The answer is 9. My bad on my math. I forgot that it needs to be the majority of those voting, and unless they got, I guess, a couple more, some Republicans vote. But if there was no votes for Jeffries that came from Republicans, they would need 9 abstentions, or essentially a vote present.